Hi, this is Kelly Garrett with Etc. Design and Marketing. I am here to show you today how to use shortcodes on your WordPress website. And more specifically, we're going to use the Shortcodes Ultimate plugin. This is a great plugin to do some extra styling and adding extra functionality to the pages and posts of your WordPress site. I've reviewed several different shortcode plugins, and I think that this is one of the best. So feel free to check it out for yourself. It's free. You can add on some options to it, some paid add-ons, but the basic version is free, and I think it does a great job of adding some nice features to your website. So let's just take a look at the different things you can do. What a shortcode does is it's a short abbreviated version of code which styles your website, and it's a way to make your site look nice and add some different features into the text of your site without knowing HTML and different codes that would allow you to create these different functionalities. So for an example, some of the things you can do with shortcodes are add things like accordions. If you need to hide some content behind a little plus sign and you want someone to click to expand it when they are interested in reading, you can do that with a shortcode. So there are several different styles that come with this program, this plugin in particular. Other plugins are going to have different style of accordions, but this is the particular style that comes with this one. You can also add some different icons to the front. Another thing you can do are add tabs to your pages, and tabs are another nice way to break up content on your page. And so then there are several style options. There's also a vertical tab option. And you can also style the tabs with different colors. So those are some of the other options there. You can also break up your page into columns. Sometimes you have just too much text on your page, and it's nicer to have shorter columns that you can use to break up your text. So there's a shortcode that does that. You can add media to your pages, YouTube videos, Vimeo videos. I usually prefer to use the embed code that they give you straight from Vimeo or YouTube, but you can also insert it via a shortcode as well. And then some animations. You can have text fly in from different directions. You can have different colors appear. You can have columns appear. You can have buttons appear. All sorts of different things animate. I would encourage you to use the animation sparingly because I think it can enhance your content. If there's something you want to call out to someone's attention, you can use an animation to have it appear on the page, but you don't want to have your page full of things flying in and out all over the place. I think that can become distracting very quickly. So be careful with using animations so that you're not distracting. And those are kind of the basics of what this shortcode does. There are quite a few other things that it does as well. It's best to just go in and experiment with them and play around to see the other things you can accomplish. But let's just dive in and add a shortcode to our page. So I'm just going to start with the basic about page on your website. Let's say you've got just some basic text on your page and it's pretty boring. It's just taking up, the width that your particular theme allows it to take up. And say you wanted to split this into a couple different columns. So to add a shortcode to do that, when you're on your page, editing your page, and I'm just on this About Your Company page right now, when you click into the box where you add your content, you're going to see this button, Insert Shortcode. So you'll want to click that button to insert the shortcode plugin. The plugin will bring this screen up, and here you can see all of the different shortcode options available to you. So you can see that there are far more than that example page that I was showing you. You can also filter the different shortcodes by type. So if you only wanted to see shortcodes that are content related, something you could type of text content you could add, you can click on the content and it darkens out the other ones that are not available, that are not content related. So you can go through and look at different categories if it's overwhelming to see all of them. Or if you want to just see all of your options, you can click all. So I would definitely go through and play with these to see what each of the different ones do. When you hover over it, it gives you a little bit more information about what it is and what it does, but not a ton of information. So you still might need to just play with it and see what it is that each shortcode will create. So back to our About page, I wanted to add a column to this page so that I could maybe have my text in 2 columns so that it's a little bit easier to read. So to do that, I'm going to, whoops, didn't plan to do that. There's my page back up there where I wanted it. So first you want to insert a row. Anytime you have columns, you need to wrap your columns in rows. This would be a way to have multiple rows on top of each other. If you picture a table, you could insert the first row having 2 columns. The second row, you could have 3 columns. Every column that you put on your page must have a row wrapping it. So for the first row, I'm just going to leave the content blank for now. I kind of like to add the shortcode to the page first and then insert my content into it rather than using that screen to insert your content, because sometimes it can be a little vague as to how it will actually appear on the screen. So now we've got the row shortcode here, and I'll give you a quick intro to how shortcodes work. You can see brackets and then SU, which stands for shortcode ultimate _row. So this first set of brackets is showing that this is an opening shortcode. This should appear before the content that you want to have in that shortcode. And this second part with the slash in front of it is the closing shortcode. This is saying my content's all done. Now I'm at the end of what I want to appear in this row. So the beginning of the row, the slash shows the end of the row. And now we've outlined what our row is going to be. I'm going to paste my text in there. So this is all of the text that I want to appear in that first row. But now we need to split that row into columns. So I'm going to put my cursor back up right after my first row tag, after the row opening. I'm going to insert my shortcode and insert my column. It's going to ask me which type of column I want. First, it's going to remind me that, did I know that I needed to wrap the column with the row shortcode? Yes, we already talked about that. That just tells you that column should stay within one row so that you can stack multiple columns on top of each other. So this first column that I want to do, I want it to be 1/2 of the width of the page. So I'm going to select 1/2. And if I only wanted one column to be centered in the middle of the page that took only half of the page, I would click yes to center it. I don't though. I'm going to have 2 columns that are not centered, so I'm going to say no. And then you could also paste your content in here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work with the content that I have on the page already. So when I click to add that shortcode, I've got my opening column bracket and my ending column bracket. And so now I'm going to figure that maybe right about here, this is about half of the content if I'm trying to put this into 2 columns. So I'm going to take that content and put it between that opening and closing bracket. Right here between, I'll paste in that first column of content that I want. Now I need to do the same thing for the second column. So right after that column was closed off, this closing tag right here, SU _column with the slash in front of it, that's just saying, okay, that's the end of the first column. So now I click right here and I need to start the second column. So I'm going to go to insert shortcode again. I'm going to say column. And I still want 1/2 of the column. If you wanted to split your page into like 3/4 of a column and 1/4, you would select 3/4 for the first part, the first column, and then the second column you would select 1/4 because there's only 1/4 of the page remaining. You kind of have to do some fractional math here. So 1/4 and 3/4 equals an entire page. So you need to split your page into the number of columns that you want. So for this, again, we're just doing the 1/2 because I only want half of the page. and I'm going to insert that column. And this text is the text that I want to appear in that second column. So I have to move that in between this second column. So there's the opening. This is saying, here's the start of the second column, and here's the ending. Here's the end of that second column. And so now I've got both of my columns contained within that row that I've created. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of extra space there. Sometimes if you have empty space, it'll add that in where you don't want it. So now I'm going to click Update and save my page. And as soon as that saves, I can refresh my page and take a look at it. And now we've got this content nicely split into 2 columns. So that's a basic shortcode. It's pretty fun once you start realizing the different types of things you can do. So now let's make it a little bit more complicated. And what I want to do is I want to wrap shortcodes within other shortcodes. We did a little bit of that with the row shortcode and the column shortcode. So that was actually quite an advanced example I showed you right off the bat. So now what happens if we've got our 2 columns and I want to put all of that content in an accordion, like I showed you as an example. So to do that, I'm going to select everything that I want to appear in that accordion. So including the row shortcodes that I've used. So everything that I want inside my accordion is selected right now. And I'm going to say Insert Shortcode. And there's 2 different options. There's a spoiler and an accordion. I misspoke. The spoiler is actually what we want. A spoiler is typically a single little plus sign that expands and shows more content. An accordion is more exactly like it sounds, where you've got multiple things that are stacked on top of each other, and one of them is always open. So the entire thing moves like an accordion would move. And if that doesn't make sense, just go in and look at go in and look at the examples. I think it makes a little bit more sense. So when I clicked on inserting a spoiler, we get a little tip here that says, do you know you can wrap multiple spoilers with an accordion shortcode? That's kind of what I was saying, that basically multiple spoilers equals an accordion. So for title, so the title is going to be the text that we want to appear next to the plus sign that's condensed. So I'm just going to say, since this is on my About page, the title is going to be Tell Me More About Your Company. Do you want this to be open by default? No, I don't. I want that to be closed. Under Style, there are a couple different styles, and you'll see examples of those on the examples page that I showed you. A lot of times I just use the default style because I like it. And then you can choose the icon. I like the plus icon because it's nice and simple, and I think it's very intuitive for people visiting your site to just click a plus icon to know that that means I want more information. And then under Content, you can see that because I highlighted all of the content that I want to appear inside that accordion, it automatically copied that into the content for me, including the column shortcodes that I had created. So that's fine. We'll just say Insert Shortcode. And you can see it added shortcode with a spoiler title. There's the beginning of that shortcode, and right after the beginning of that shortcode, we're going to have a row, and then we're going to have a column, and here's the information that I had in there before. And then at the very end, it closes that spoiler, and it says, this is the end of the spoiler. So we'll click Update to save that. That was pretty simple. And now when I refresh the page, you'll see that I've got my little plus. Tell me more about your company. I can click to expand that, and then the expansion is contained in those 2 columns that we created the first time. So there you are. That's a very simple way to add a lot more functionality and a lot more style to your site using shortcodes. This was the Shortcodes Ultimate plugin. And I hope that helps you to style your website a little bit further. Thanks again.